Good morning, everybody. When I joined the European Parliament as member in 2014, trade policy was the happy island of European politics. Everyone was looking at it with a mix of pride and satisfaction, and the future looked bright. In those 2 years, many things have happened, and now trade policy has become one of the most controversial issues on the whole European and global agenda. Surely part of the responsibility is of the EU institutions, but they cannot be the sole source of the problem. We need to understand that globalization is a fact and that we, as European Union, have to take control of it, to shape it, not least because if we do not take our part of responsibility, others will do it for us. If it's up to us instead, we can choose our terms and our standards. We also need to be more inclusive, more open and more able to communicate about trade. Firstly, we need to take into account the needs of everyone. Our agenda cannot be set only thinking about the few. Trade is not an end in itself, but a mean to our final goal, which has to be closing the gap between the global poor and the global wealthy. Secondly, we have to devise a truly European trade strategy. We have to keep aside our nationalistic selfishness in order to collectively work for the future of a stronger European Union. Lastly, we have to open up Europe to people. More transparency and better communication. It should be our duty to go out there and talk to European citizens. But we have to do it better than we do now. It is not the citizens' duty to understand the technical language of European institutions, but it's our duty to make our work understandable to everyone. We also need not to refer to trade policy and FTAs only with a future orientation. Saying that trade policy will have a good impact on the European economy is not enough. Trade policy is already having a good impact on our economy. Look at the FTA with South Korea, at the one with Mexico, or at the programs oriented to the development of poorer countries. And then there is the TTIP, the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, an ongoing negotiation between the European Union and the United States. Someone recently said that TTIP is dead. I would argue that TTIP was never really born. Just think about the fact that negotiation with Canada lasted for more than 5 years, and neither 5 years have really been enough to solve the most outstanding issues of the agreement. It would be inappropriate to think that the negotiation with the US could last less than that, and TTIP negotiations only started in 2013. We are talking about two very different systems and the two biggest economies in the world. While entering in negotiations, we were all aware that it would not have been possible to have a real judgment on TTIP before the end of this negotiation. We have hoped, and we still do, that an agreement with the United States can reinforce the role of the Euro-American alliance in a global arena in a period characterized by a rush to strike bilateral deals with all the major players in the world. But it goes without saying that we are not forced by anyone to close the TTIP. On the contrary, we will strongly support TTIP if it ends up being a good agreement, both for European people and the industry and for leveling up global standards. Protection of public services, opening to the American public procurement market, a new mechanism of investment protection and a strong effective chapter on intellectual property rights are some of the fundamental issues we have always worked for and that in our view needs to be included in a good TTIP. Apparently, with the upcoming American elections, the crucial election in the EU before 2018, now it is not the right time to close the deal. But we should not lose the hope to be able to get to a good comprehensive agreement which could make us proud of being Europeans.